Support for this podcast comes from the patrons at patreon.com/FMLFPL. Okay, welcome to Friday Night Live. I'm Milan.
Miss Walsh.
Man, this feels fucking scary and nerve-wracking and weird.
I feel like we're going on like a third date or something.
Yeah, it's about
like,
to be.
I'm gonna show you some things. You're gonna show me some things. I don't know how you're gonna react. I'm not sure where it's gonna
go. Some of my friends think you're a sociopath. Some of my friends are like, "Fuck it, he's hot." And I'm just like, "Oh man, I don't know which way to go here." But this is a Friday Night Live. This is normally Patreon only shit. We just kind of vibes it out. I don't really even edit the pod. There's usually not even video, so it just goes up as fast as possible. But for this special pre-game week 1-1, we're gonna just give it out for free.
And if you like it, sign up to the Patreon. This is the thing we do every Thursday typically throughout the course of the season. Every week this is our second pod. Yeah.
Yeah, and usually we probably would have like questions and blah blah blah, but this one is just mono.
Yeah.
A mono. Just fucking face off. What do you... And man, I'm like you said it right before we started recording. I'm fucking scared. I don't know what's going to happen.
Who's going
here
first? Well, how about this?
Where are we even beginning? I don't even know.
Before we start, I think the biggest thing that I've been like kind of breaking my brain is the Allen Iverson pricing.
Iverson comes into the game at a shocking 4-0.
Yeah. So what do you make of this 8 million goalkeeper from the same team? Literally has, since I've been playing for 8 whatever years, have never had a game week 1 where you have one team, both goalies are 4 million.
I think I've been playing for about 10 seasons. This is completely unheard of. Never
so
seen it before.
What do you make of it? What are we supposed to do with this?
So in every season ever, up until this one, I would have said it's the most automatic thing of life. You have to do it. There's a couple reasons why this season it's sketch. I think one is that, as we keep saying, every pod keeps saying, and it's worth reminding that we're all going to wildcard early, and then we're all going to have a free wildcard in Game Week 16 also. So just thinking more short term instead of delving into like what the fuck is Leicester even up to territory in the world is probably a better idea, going with like a more known quantity, a better team, etc. The other thing is that the season is starting earlier than usual, so there's even more matches while the transfer window's open. So the thing that I was also thinking about is that like a month from now, pretty much, Leicester could still like buy a keeper and then you just don't have a keeper. Like within the next 5 matches, they can buy a keeper and then you have no keeper and you're really fucked. Like minimum 1 hit, but it might even be 2 hits to get a keeper because you have nowhere to go.
Yeah, unless if you save and... I mean, that is the biggest concern. And
that's a huge concern.
Ward wasn't cheap, and Iverson had a pretty good loan season last year in the Flamp. That's the biggest concern to me, is the window's open for a while, and if they lose a couple games and whichever of these 2 guys is starting, drops the ball or fucks something up monumentally, that they're like, okay, we need to spend money on a keeper, but they also don't have any money.
Apparently they have no money.
Yeah, so
which I don't know how that math works out, but I don't know. I mean, have you played with it? Because it's so new to me that like today would have been the day that I tinkered with it, and I haven't.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing that so firstly with Leicester, I think is still, we need to go back to 2 years ago with Leicester, not last year. This isn't a 6 clean sheet team, right? I mean, with Fofana and Evans in the team, they're gonna, and Ndidi, at least they're all fit now, right? They're just like a good, fine team. They're mid-table, I'm saying like 7th, 8th place, like should keep some number of cleans. Yeah. So that, for one thing.
They were very mid-table-y 2 years ago, just 10th best defense or something.
Right. And this isn't like it's 8 million keepers on NFO, right?
Right.
I mean, this is a good team.
Yeah, they're solid. Yeah.
The way I've kind of been looking at the 1 point, because I've had Ederson or Lloris or a 5-5, like freeing up that 1.5 million to put it in the outfield isn't even like specifically necessarily like good. Like going from Jesus to Vardy, I'm like, I like that more because I'm a big Vardy proponent, but like that could just be worse.
Yeah.
And then I'm getting rid of like Ederson for a 4.
I know. It was like the question, I think it was on the last pod, right? It was like, we know that the best team isn't always the highest budget team, right? It's like we have these guys that we like. We have our Netos and Martinellis, whoever. Each individual person has their guys that they like, and then just being like, well, now I have this money, so I'm just going to go with,
this guy
blah, blah, blah,
because
they're basically, they're more expensive. It biases us. They're more famous. They're on a better team, whatever it is. And yeah, it's not necessarily good. And it's also like, we always talk about what are the millions worth in actual points. And I think someone responded to me on Twitter as like, 500,000 is worth 0.4 points or something like that. But we know with like pretty good certainty that like if we're going Ederson to Ward Iverson, fucking double dragon shit, like we're still going to lose a pretty good amount of points without like something very surprising and unpredictable happening, It'll
be small amount, but it'll be incremental. Like for every week you let that go, Ederson will probably, like say you go for the first 6 game weeks, you might lose like 2 points here, 3 points there, but over that time, you could lose, 18 points.
Yeah, you could easily lose 18 by the time you wild card. And
so
that's
are you going to be able to find
a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot with the 1.5. The one thing I will say that I mentioned in Discord that I thought was actually something I was surprised I came up with, but releasing, granted it's difficult when we have no information and we're looking at this right now, right? Okay, we have 1.5, say 1 million, say you have Mendy there, Ramsdale, say 1 million, right? We know goalkeeper's the lowest scoring position in the game with, the lowest ceiling and just like whatever. But even if we aren't that sure right now, putting that 1 million into your starting 10 outside of your goalkeeper is like a better strict upgrade. It does just put that money into those positions. So you have easier access to it. Yeah. So that will be more flexible for you in the short term or the medium term looking at your transfers. You're just going to have more money to play with out there in the outfield. So you'll be able to see like, okay, after game week 2, I want this and this, oh wow, I have an extra million than I would have if I had, Ederson, or an extra 1.5. Oh, I can get this guy and set. Yeah. And so that is a thing.
No, that's significant. That's something that has been like circling around in my head for the past couple weeks, where I have obsessed over flexibility and stuff. And I was talking to Late Riser last night, and he's on Raz in his draft, and we were talking about Raz versus Mount, and I was like, I don't think it's worth 2 mil, but blah blah blah. But one of the things about going with someone like a Raz at 10 million, similar to what you're talking about, by putting the more money on the pitch, if you have the more money in the one player, you can get to more guys from the one player. Like ultimately your team is just more flexible by definition, because I can't get to Bowen from Mount, but I can get
easier to get to Son, and you can
get to like basically any mid in the game from Raz like pretty easily, but it's not the same with the 8 million mid. So I do think that there's a weird thing where it feels riskier to be like, I'm putting 10 million in someone like Raz, but in a weird way, it's safer in terms of flexibility and how you move your team forwards. It's just like feels riskier for 1 or 2 game weeks, but in the longer run, in 6 or 7 game weeks, it might actually just be like easier and more flexible, and you can move more quickly or whatever, or wait longer and move less quickly on like, the guys that everyone is bringing in or whatever it is.
Yeah. You also have to consider, though, who's the combo piece with that 2 million, though. I mean, is it 2 or 3 players? And then looking at, okay, because then you get into, well, which of these 2 buckets are better? Yep. And it's like, oh, okay, sure, I could get more flexible with Raz, but this is like really much better. Like, I think this is just going to get more points.
Yeah.
So you have to narrow, you have to find that line, right?
Yeah, it's a hard thing. But if going from your like Ederson to 4-0 turns your 8 mil into the pretty objectively better asset who's more expensive on the same team.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you go from Martinelli to Saka, like, I'm not saying that I don't like
That's what
Martinelli.
I should do with that money, but
yeah, it's just still objectively better. Like, Saka's on pens, nailed, like, blah, 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 blah.
Or even amount or whatever, right?
Yeah,
whatever
but
you
like
do,
that is maybe the upgrade that ends up being worth it. But
yeah,
it's really hard. It's really hard, man.
All right. So you're sort of not there. You're sort of thinking more like you're going to stick with your...
I mean, I just haven't, like I said, I haven't really tinkered with it, but I also haven't found myself in a position where I'm like,
I need more money.
I really want this guy that I don't have. Yeah, I mean, when that happens, it's always like, I want these 3 more defenders, but I can only have 5 defenders in the game.
But that's the thing that I like. That is not happening to me right now, but that will happen. Like, once the game start, like, that's going to happen. You'll be like, oh my God. Like,
yeah.
You know, and that is like really sitting there for me.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
really
having probably not going to have 1.5 in the bank. You know, when you start game week 1, you'll put at least 0.5 into like a bench guy or something. But having a mil or 0.5 in the bank, we know is really good game week 1.
It gives us time to wait a little longer than we didn't necessarily want to act.
And that's another thing that it allows you, you know?
Yeah.
So it is interesting from that perspective.
Yeah. And you know, the other thing to that, just to state, you know, we kind of say that as like a heuristic, but the reason why that's so effective is game week 1, whoever bangs, they price rise. So that 0.5 lets you kind of wait until game week 2. And if it's still a good asset, you can still make that swap, you know, within the 0.5 upgrade from your spot. So you can still go from Martinelli to, you know, whatever the other guy, or like you go from Martin, you know, that kind of thing. So,
yeah. And, you know, it just... 0.1 equals 0.5 at the beginning of the season. So it's not like you're just losing out on 0.1 of value. You're losing 0.5. You can't get to them. So
so
it's a lot.
Good.
And, you know, they've been playing well. Leicester's been doing well in their friendlies, you know, keeping some cleans, like good underlying.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, maybe it's just so obvious that we should do it.
I am feeling like when the pencils are down, I'm going to have the 8 million keepers.
You think?
I have a
what do you
feeling
think the reason will be? Do you think you'll find places in your team where you're like, I want to invest $1 million more, or do you think you're just going to come to the conclusion that like it's just good?
Yeah.
Just that it's just good. Like spending 8 million compared to spending 9.5 million on the spot is just a big difference. And I don't think, I think I want to try and find those, few points that I'm losing each week, in the field to Ederson or whomever,
Yeah, and they buy a keeper game week 3 wild card maybe. If it ends up being that bad, you can wild card and it's not that big a deal. Yeah, I mean, I totally understand that. A thing that also I keep bringing up in all these pods is like you mentioned it in the postmortem is like we always plan for the best in FPL and we never plan for the worst. But like, if City starts slowly or Allison's misses game week 1 or whatever 5-5 you're going for, like that fucking is really bad.
Yeah,
like
because you're really counting on those points. I mean, you're spending a lot for them.
Everyone who has Ederson in their team isn't even entertaining the idea that they'll keep less than like 3 or 4 cleans in the first 6 game weeks. But like, I don't know, they could start slow. No Laporte. Ake makes a mistake, fucking, whatever it is, like that should just happen sometimes.
Yeah.
So that is the other side of the coin.
So let's start with your team. What are you?
So
what
the
are you
team I'm on.
What do you want to talk about?
What do we want to talk about? Well, I definitely want to talk about Doc.
Okay.
I think Doc is getting a lot of steam right now. I mean, maybe we talk about Perisic in the same breath, but I'm pretty sold on Perisic. Like, I think he's for sure going to be in my team, unless Conte says like he's fucked or like he's not ready. I don't know when he'll be ready. Unless
or
it's
we hear like a police report that some unknown, undetermined Croatian has been is being investigated for some kind of crime.
Yeah, like something like that would turn me off him. But I'm pretty positive that Perry will be in my team. So then
you're back.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
I'm like, you got me back. You
right,
pitched a
Perry.
good pitch. I thought about it more. He's just too good. And I watched some clips in preseason, so
Well,
he's like,
also think
he's
about
not
your
wing back. He's the third forward.
He's a forward. I mean, think about too, like when he like signed, like you were like, yeah,
Instantly.
if he's a defender and he's blah blah blah, you know, and people are saying like, he's going to be a mid. It's like, you know, that's
I thought
still
he was
the
gonna
same.
be 6'5" defender.
Yeah, I mean, that's all still the same thing.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Doc.
But Doc is more interesting because I feel like we all forgot about Doc, us included. And he's just kind of like back and he's playing in preseason, starting and playing minutes. And, you know, Conte is going to say, you know, he's not fully up to speed. What does that mean? We don't know. It means whatever you want it to mean is basically all that means, because it could mean I need to play him into fitness. It could mean he needs a couple of games before I feel comfortable starting him. I don't know. Anyone's guess. But 5-0 Doc is just ridiculous if he's fit and starting. It's just like a cheat code. We know that. You know, he's going to way outperform 5 million. The other wingbacks, like both wingbacks in the Spurs system, it's not one or the other. It's not that kind of team. Like both wingbacks can perform. Even when Doc was banging last season, like Regs was getting goals and Cess was getting assists and Emerson was getting goals and whatever. So I'm not worried about that. But is Doc just so obvious? Like, is he just... Where are you at on the Doc thing? It's like a similar argument to the Perisic thing, right?
So
I mean, it's
almost
almost more known in a weird way.
So there are a few things. Perisic, I don't think, is in the same breadth of quality as Doc. I mean, I think Perisic is just so much better of a player, Perisic. And we know that Conte has had, like, sort of been playing Doc because he's had to since he got there, it seems like, anyway, to me. Perisic can play both sides. You know, I mean, we are seeing him at left wing back. You know, it might not take more than a couple games for him to be like, wait a minute, actually, this Cess kid and Perisic on the right is just better. You know, I mean, I just feel like Perisic is by far and away his best wing back on the team. It's not close. And Doc is kind of muddled in a group of other. You know, and I'm just a little bit worried about that. And to me, yes, I agree with you. Everything you're saying at 5, if he's starting, sure, he's going to get subbed at 60 minutes periodically. But if he is actually the first choice wing, like, I don't have any questions in my mind that Perisic is a first choice wing back. No question whatsoever.
I don't think anyone has any questions about that. Yeah.
Those are questions to me in Doc's case.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, there's still Royale. I mean, you know, there's just, he's talking about Lukash. They have so many guys. So, you know, can Doc be a cheat code? Yes. 1,000,000% yes. But I'm like kind of a little bit tepid on, do I want to bet on that for game week 1, or do I want to wait like a few games and see and find out? That's my only thing on it, because you know that there are proven, known, you know, in air quotes, safer picks like Walker, Trips, that you're like, okay, they're going to get me a few points. You know, Doc could get 4 points in the first 3 game weeks, 4 points in the first 4 game weeks.
He could also get, you know, 2 double-digit hauls. Yeah.
Yes. So I don't know. I am really torn, because I have played with having him in. I've played with him in Perisic, but it does still, to me, come more to, you know, who am I forsaking? Like, I still think James, even for $1 million more, is just better, because I know he's playing every game. Like, I'm like, sweating the team sheet over Doc initially doesn't seem like something I want to experience.
Yeah, I mean, I have in my current tinker, I have Trent, Cancelo, James, Perisic, Doc.
Yeah.
So I don't really feel like I'm forsaking anything in defense.
That's
like
fair.
Maybe you could argue a Trips, you can argue like a Zinchenko, a Walker maybe to double up City, but like there's not anyone like really huge, really obvious that I'm missing out on. I don't feel.
No, and I think that's okay, because it does, you know, your bench, you know, having Pereira or whatever, like De Silva, or whoever you have to come on in case Doc actually plays 0 minutes, which, you know, he's going to have sub appearances a lot probably if he doesn't start, you know, isn't the end of the world. It's just a risk, you know, there's just still risk there. But I do think that it's a decent place to put your risk if the rest of your team is pretty settled.
That's the thing. It feels like a pretty good place to put my risk, where I'm like, any time he starts, and for now I feel pretty comfortable being like he's probably first choice. You know, like he starts the last game opposite Perisic. You know, like we know the quality of Emerson and Regs and, whatever, anyone else isn't really up to Doc's quality, in my opinion, other than Perisic. And
and Spence, we don't know how fast, how good. We just don't know how he's going to see him.
Yeah, and he hasn't played a minute, obviously, yet in preseason for them. And, so I'm just like, any game he starts, he's like a 6'5" asset, basically. Like, he could just score a goal or get an assist or both in any of these games, not even counting about the clean. So it seems
he had
like a
7
good place.
attacking returns in 870 minutes last year.
Ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous. And when I compare him to, like, even, the guys we like a Bailey or whatever the fuck, it's just like, Bailey could start all 3 games and get no returns.
Yeah.
If Doc starts 3 games, I'm like, yeah, he's going to get me something. Like, I feel that way. So that's the difference between, like, those kind of risks, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't
know.
So
you're feeling Doc.
Yeah, I'm not 100% on him, I don't think. I think I'm likely, but I don't think I'm 100%. But I think it makes all the sense in the world.
Okay.
I was even looking at fucking Longley because I'm just like a pervert.
Yeah, I don't know why that would be the choice, but
he's just going to be a bonus god because
he's going
like
to be good on bonus.
The best passing defender in the world, one of them. He's like a 90% passer, but I'm like, I'm not going to go there. But someone should go there, not named me.
0.5% of people have.
I know. I saw that and I was like, is this my calling?
Is this my AMN?
Yeah, like actually, like, yeah, is this my soy first season or whatever?
Yeah, Doc's. No, I mean it's a big call, I think.
Yeah, it's a big call. And I will be sweating the team sheet for both Doc and Perisic if I roll this way. Even though we both agree Perisic is first choice, like, we don't know what the rest means. We don't know like what the fitness quotes mean. So it's just like so it's sort of a Hail Mary.
Yeah, I mean, and we will see as time, but it might be a situation of like Pep roulette for Conte wingback roulette because he has all these options, especially once all the other competitions start up. Like, who is playing when and where? And I mean, that's the other thing too about Perisic. Right? And granted, he's a little more expensive than Doc, 0.5 more, right? But I mean, Perisic is just better. Like his attacking returns are just he's a better quality attacker and player than Doc. So I feel more confident there with more limited minutes than I do with Doc. Like, I mean, and comparing them 1-to-1 isn't really that helpful, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about Doc that just feels like makes me very nervous.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had him last year for a while. Like when he was fit, I had him, I think, the whole time last year. I mean,
he was like automatic.
Great.
He was automatic.
Yeah, he was great.
That's pretty much all. That's the weird thing. He's like one of the weirdest guys. He must be so overrated by FPL players as opposed to like managers, right? Because any time he fucking plays in FPL on any quality team, he's a god. Yeah. But managers are like, I don't know.
He's not that good.
I don't know about this guy. Yeah. So yeah, but no, I take your point with Perry. I mean, he can play. He's just so flexible too. Like he can play either side. He can move up to wing. And a more defensive guy comes in behind him just to keep him on. Like he can play anywhere. He can play like 5 positions at an elite level. So you feel better about that for sure.
I wonder if that's a thing that we might see, that he subs the third attacker off and he puts a wing back on and he puts his Perisic up.
I could absolutely see that.
Like if it's a 2-0 game or something.
Yeah, take off Son or Kane, protect them.
He wants to preserve the lead.
Yeah, like Perisic is, I know he's old, but everyone says, and everything I've ever read is that he is just like a fitness monster.
Yeah, it's like Milner, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's just a machine. He never needs a rest. Like he never really gets hurt. He's the most two-footed player in the world. It's just like crazy.
Okay,
he must be on some fucking drugs or something, probably.
So some cheese. So he's got the McGath shit going.
But yeah, are you Trent, Reece, Cancelo nailed in your team?
No one's nailed. I mean, Trent's nailed.
Who's nailed?
Trent, Cancelo, and Mo are nailed.
Not Reece.
That's probably it. No, Reece, I'm still like, I like it. I like the pick. I still feel good about him. Like, I feel like he's going to be playing wing back, but I still look at those first few fixtures and I'm just like, because that's the thing is like, is Reece a million better than Doc? that's a question to me. Like, I'm not sure. And it's the same thing with Robbo, where it's like, okay, like, do I want to just put Diaz in and go back, like put 2 million somewhere else and go back to Doc? Like, I have been thinking about that with Doc, because like you're saying, I mean, I like playing for those explosive players and those explosive picks. And, I have 5 in there right now. Right now I have James, Robbo, Trent, Cancelo, and Perisic in my back 5. They're basically, I don't have a defender in my back 5 of defense. I mean, that's
Wait,
that's
James,
a good job.
Robbo, Trent, Perisic,
Cancelo.
Oh, Cancelo, yeah, duh.
Yeah. So I think it's going to come down to, is there an attacker that I really want to get when I'm kind of playing around more with the 2 8 million defenders, which I haven't done enough time with, to be like, okay, I'm willing to do it for this, and maybe put Doc in or Trips in or Walker in or whatever that looks like.
Yeah,
and
with Reece,
I'm not
it's
sure.
like, I feel all of the things that you're feeling. I mean, we know how we both feel about Reece, but I just feel like also it's too good and obvious. Like, it's one of those things where going into the market in this case just does not make sense. Especially if they get Cucurella, which who knows if it got here we go'd, but apparently like Barca might step in or some shit. But, especially if that happens, like no DCL game week 1, like I'm just like, dude, it's just so fucking obvious.
Yeah,
and he just has double-digit hauls written all over him.
Yeah, and that's why I haven't taken him out yet. But I'm still thinking about it. I'm just being honest with answering the question. I mean, it is obvious.
Chill, bro. Chill.
No, it is obvious, but it's still just like, I don't know. They're all still good, cheaper alternatives out there, and I don't know. Yeah. So, I mean, for those reasons, I do feel like I like this back 5 set that I have, and I feel like I could make it work with that, but I'm just not settled yet.
Right. I do think the Robbo Diaz thing is worth revisiting. I mean, I feel like we all kind of probably overreacted. Like, everyone was on Diaz for the most part before the Community Shield, and then those numbers like thinned out big time after the Community Shield. Whereas like on the pod, we're saying like, oh, don't worry about City defense, like it's an overreaction. It's like he plays against Man City, probably best team in the country, against like the fastest and one of the best defensive right backs in not just the league and world football, and Kyle Walker. And all of a sudden we're all just like, yeah, get the fuck out of my team. Like, I'm done with him. It's like, it's similarly an overreaction, just the other way. And I feel like we all kind of just agreed to get rid, but like Diaz is still a really good pick. Like I was saying on the pod last week, like if I had to gun to my head rank the 8 million players, like I'd still put him first, I think. The 8 million mids, that is.
Yeah, I mean, I think Robbo is just such a known, proven commodity, and he kind of is also just an attacker. I mean, they have really good attacking fixtures, but they have really good clean fixtures too. I mean, then home Palace, and we don't play well at Anfield normally, but I mean, home Palace, home Bournemouth, home Newcastle, 3 of the first 5, those are your first 3 home games. Home Wolves, a derby in there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of cleans there.
Yeah.
And, I think something that did come back to me was, is he going to really outpace the cleans of Robbo? Like, are his returns going to outpace the cleans of Robbo plus the attacking returns of Robbo? I mean, Robbo is getting on those far post runs, like, again, I mean, I just saw it, like, if he's going to be this energetic, where he was conserving a lot more last year, he gets tired, he has a lot more minutes, that he has the break for the World Cup with them not qualified.
Yeah.
I feel like those are other factors. Like, yes, obviously the Community Shield, like, did a little nudge there.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I mean, Robbo also is entering his absolute, like, prime. I mean, last season, this season, like, these are his best years of his life. Yeah. And Diaz still has uncertainty. We still don't really know what he is as an FPL pick or an FPL asset. So, it is, but I agree. I think it's a really close decision, and I think it comes down more or less than 1 versus 1 here, but also who is the second player.
Yeah,
like to me, that is Robbo and Martinelli right now versus Doc and Diaz.
That's really close.
Yeah, it's really close. But those are those are kind of the questions that you have to ask yourself. Which of those tandems do you like more?
Yeah. Yeah,
there is also something historically about Trent, like owning Trent, like we've all been there. Like owning Trent Robbo going to Liverpool games is like, oh my God, like injected into my veins.
It's
like
the
you just
lube,
feel like
you have the lube, you have the tissues, and you're just like good to go. Yeah,
and that's something.
That's a big something. Yeah, increasing the quality of the watching experience. And Liverpool are like televised so often. It's just a beautiful thing. But yeah, no, it's not even that I'm like against your decision. It was just something that I thought about that's worth bringing up. Like
I agree.
2 weeks ago, 40% of us are on Diaz, nailed best pick, best third Liverpool asset. And then like one game against Man City and we're all like off. And it's just weird. It doesn't make that much sense. But yeah, I mean, Robbo's a great fucking pick. And I was wondering also, like with Robbo, because, I think it was Tio who asked about like the Robbo versus Van Dijk, and we kind of mentioned Matip and stuff. And I was wondering if, like when we originally were talking about that there's not that much of a points difference between the two players. Like they shouldn't really be 0.5 difference. We were looking end of season points.
Yeah, which is probably silly
the wrong way to. Yeah, it's the wrong way to look because
it is.
I mean, I haven't done the research to like back this up, but I would assume that in good fixtures, Robbo is attacking output.
Yes.
Increases.
Just like we talked about JWP corners, like similar thing.
Exactly. So like against Fulham, home Palace, home Bournemouth, home Newcastle, at Everton, home Wolves, I expect Robbo to be further forward in the box more opportunities, more corners, more crosses. Whereas VVD goals are just like random. Liverpool get a lot of corners every game. We never know when the goal is going to come. We never know when the weird deflection assist is going to come. So that is maybe why. Robbo's more.
I'm glad you said that. I completely agree with that. So you're still on Diaz?
I have 2 Liverpool players in this team.
Oh, come on with this.
No, it's not done. I like you said, you have like 2 nailed players in your team. I feel the same way. I have my notebook right next to me. I don't know if you can see it on camera. No, you can't see it. It literally just says Mo in one of the midfield spots and Trent in one of the defensive spots. That's how far I am.
So you're referring to a tinker that has literally 2 players in it of the 15.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha,
my tinker is just Mo, Trent, and then a bunch of gray silhouettes.
But you're very much not sure of that call, or is Alisson still in your thoughts?
I still think Alisson's a great pick. Yeah, okay. Like of all the keepers, I still think he's just by far the best in FPL.
Yeah.
So like when we compare, Ederson to Alisson, I'm just like, I expect Alisson to get more points.
Yeah.
And
there's something to be said about getting the best one.
Yeah, best one and points are great. So I think that's close. This tinker, I have Ramsdale, but like I'm just 0.5 away from Alisson, and that's very tempting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So keep going through your tinker. And who's your 5th defender in that one? Oh no, you said the defense.
Yeah. You have the defense. So it's Ramsdale 4-0. My midfield 3. It's a 5-3-2. So my midfield 3 is Mo, Mount, Neto. And then I'm still Jesus Kane. I do want to talk to you about Kane Holland. And then the 0.5 that I took out from Alisson is in Bailey right now. And
just on the bench.
And that's first on the bench, sort of like doc insurance, sort of like, you never know insurance.
Yeah.
I just think he's a good pick, but it's probably better served just putting the 0.5 on the pitch, I would say, because you still have Pereira and like he's good enough.
Yeah. Especially with the injury to Wilson, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's probably good enough to do that. But
can we do a little more Bailey conversation?
Yeah, talk to me about what you're seeing with it. Is it just me, or do you always want to say bye?
Yeah, I do.
It's just the wrong country of origin, guy. But I just look at the thing and I'm just like bye.
Bye. Yeah, it's not that. It's Leon. So been trying to imagine like what are scenarios that happen in the season with this player, right? Where it's like at Bournemouth, home Everton, at Palace, then it goes West Ham, Arsenal, City, Leicester. Like what happens where it's like he's a great pick to hold through that time period? Like, is there anything that could possibly happen in those first few game weeks where you're like, I'm just going to start him for game weeks 4, 5, 6, 7?
Yeah, that is an interesting way to look at it.
When it is West Ham, Arsenal, City. Because the thing I keep running into with him, right? He's an enabler. Enablers are great, because typically there are other enablers that you can go to from enabler to enabler, but he's a 5 million enabler. There are no other 5. I mean, you don't want to go to Romeo from him, right? We've been
Dewsbury Hall.
Yeah. I mean, really, yeah. And who's, maybe a advanced 8, maybe not, right? But
Yeah.
you're limiting yourself there. And like, I keep just imagining, like, how is this not a huge problem, like, soon?
Game week 4, like latest.
Yeah.
Because he could just like be a problem game week 3. Like we don't even know.
Yeah, and at Palace by game week 3 could look
could just be really
bad.
Palace were easily like a top
Really
6
good
defense last season, and especially at home. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's already bad. But yeah, I mean, I think my answer to you, like the way that you would keep him in his team is like if he just like surprisingly was on pens or something like that. Which is still like up in the air.
Yeah.
I mean, like apparently it's up in the air. Like Coutinho took one, and Ollie sometimes take them, and something like that. But yeah, I mean, they can't. That's like a huge stretch. Like basically, what I'm saying is, I don't really think there's a world where we would keep him.
I mean, is it like a 2-week punt?
That's why you would get him is for at Bournemouth, home Everton,
or you put him on your bench like you have in this draft.
Right, but even that feels bad because it's like, why the fuck do I even have him if I'm not playing him at Bournemouth, home Everton? Because those are 2 of the 4 best fixtures in the league.
Right.
And they're also the games where we feel most confident that he's probably going to start. So like, why the fuck wouldn't you start him in those games when he could like brace in either of them?
Right. Well, maybe for you, then that means you'd go dock to Nico and you put him up to Martinelli or someone. And you change your structure.
Right. Yeah, I mean...
in that team.
Yeah, it's like, is it... Yeah, it's such a weird... He does my head in, too, because it's like, well, I still want to start him for those 2. So it's like, and then, his 2 are objectively way better than Arsenal's first 2 fixtures.
Yeah, it's not even comparable.
Not even comparable. So, like, what do? Just go dock to Nico, start Bailey for 2, and put $1 million in the bank? And then I go Bailey. Bailey, I have a lot of flexibility. Like, that's not bad.
That's not terrible. That's not a terrible idea.
Yeah.
I mean, we still haven't seen him play very much. It's just, I still just get really worried about Stevie G. Like, I just feel like there are so few extremely settled players in his squad in attack, like in that 6.
Yeah.
But in front of the 4 is just like, no, and again, I guess because he's giving the captaincy, but like, I have no idea who the fuck's going to play, what balance he's looking for, like the new guy's going to play, the 6, what's his name? Traore, or no, Kamara. But, I mean, it's still, because this is with Bailey is sort of similar to me thinking about like the 8 million combo goalkeepers. It's like, he's a 5 million winger. It's like, fucking obviously you should have him, and he's 2 easy fixtures,
goal scoring winger. Like he's not Mark Albright
with pedigree. Has done it. Like looks electric. Has looked good in bursts last year. Like he has a lot of that going for him. But it's still, I'm just like, but like, how could this work? Like, it doesn't feel like it's gonna work.
I know it feels like you're making. Well, they're all bets, but you're making a bet that has like one narrow path to success.
Yeah.
With no flexibility at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you have, in my team, I basically have 12 starters, right? Like I have him first on the bench.
Yeah.
So like worst comes to worst, like I'm starting Doc every week and Pereira's first on my bench, and it's nothing, So that would be like, I guess, the way that you would do it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
he's still a bad game from being dropped.
Yeah, he's one bad game from being dropped, and he's looking really good though. He's basically playing like almost second forward. It's been like Phil left wing, Ollie down the middle, Bailey right wing, and like Bailey comes into the box, takes good shots, like.
He's close to
probably
the goal.
He's a better goal scorer than Ollie Watkins. He's the best goal scorer on the team.
Yeah.
Like he's the best goal scorer on the team.
Outside of Phil, maybe that's besides Phil, but yeah.
Yeah, but even Phil's not like a prolific like in the box guy. It's like what I mean. It's a different style. So
Ings, but that I mean,
there's a big case for him.
There's a huge case for him. I mean, there's a huge case.
And the thing also that I was looking back on is just like, I feel like I personally remember Villa being like very underwhelming in attack from when Gerrard took over. You know, they had some really bad games, not just against like Liverpool and City. They had bad other games where we expected them to score.
Sure.
But they also had some like fucking bangers.
Yeah.
Like we should not forget that they had some monster games where they just like destroyed Southampton, 2.6 XG, 4 goals. They destroyed Leeds. They destroyed Burnley twice and put up like monster games. So it's like, and what I like about that is like those were the worst teams in the league that they destroyed. And guess what? They played the 2 of the 5 worst teams in the league in the first 2 game weeks.
Yeah.
So I mean, the case is strong, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, I guess say he does do really well those first 2 game weeks, like you could look at those, you know, home West Ham, at Arsenal, at Leicester as like, well, he's going to be starting and they're going to just be hitting on the counter. So I hope he just hits on the counter.
Yeah. And he's your 11th player and like, you know.
It's not that bad kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's not that bad. You know, they're a team kind of set up for that counter, I feel like. You
They
know,
could
like
be,
that style.
depending on who he picks.
Yeah, they could be. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's one. And I mean, that's one where it's, again, like the enabler. It's like, okay, I'm sitting here with Martinelli at 6. Like, okay, well, if I go down here, where am I going with that? Like, what does that get me? But it's definitely something that's like close, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I think most people are on like, you know, a Nico or Nico and Pereira or whatever. And like, they have some good fixtures that, you know, overlap that period. You know, like Pereira's home, Brentford game week 3 is home, Brighton game week 5. You know, Nico's at Everton game week 3 is home, Bournemouth game week 6, at Leeds 7, home Fulham 8. You know, like you can cover it pretty easily. And sure, you know, Nico's not amazing, Forrest aren't amazing, Pereira's not amazing, but like this is your 11th player. You're spending no money on the spot. It's not that bad.
Yeah. Okay.
I wanted to talk to you about Kane.
We were skipping midfield.
Well, I think we'll just bounce around.
All right.
I just have I've been on Kane for like 2 weeks now, and just being like, I'm just gonna go Kane to Haaland after game week 1. Is that stupid? Like, am I booking a transfer and that's just dumb? And City are probably still just gonna score 2 or 3 goals, and like, why am I even bothering with that?
Yeah, I think it is dumb. I mean, I haven't put Kane in my team for Haaland once in like 3 weeks, I think.
I think that's all I need to hear.
Yeah, I think you're just like trying to outsmart because you're going into this game week 1 as like, I'm going to use my first transfer when I know nothing to get rid of my really good pick for this other really good pick. Yeah, that's what you're doing. That's what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not going to deny that.
And that's the kind of thing I think that is 1,000,000% fine when it's game week 16 and the rest of your team's fine. You're like, I'm going for this really good pick, this really good pick because the fixtures are better. And you're doing that, like the fixtures are better, right? Obviously, home Southampton is better than at West Ham. Bournemouth better than, you know, Chelsea.
Yeah.
But you know, you're not going to be making, you know, right now we're looking at our team is like, oh yeah, the other 10 picks in my team is great. You know, it looks great. The games start happening. You're like, holy shit, this is a problem. This is a problem.
What the fuck am I doing?
I need this guy. If I don't get rid of this guy for this guy right now, I'm a fucking idiot. I'm going to lose 0.3 on prices. I'm going to do that. That's how this game works, right? So, you know, I think you need 1 game week for game week 1 is a little, unless if you're like, I'm just wild carding immediately. Other than that's literally the only case where it's like I'm committing to a team where I'm completely punting on like a bench boost and then I'm going to wild card. Like I think that, I just think it's not enough.
That's what I wanted to hear. I mean, a lot of my sort of thoughts going into this pod where I was just scared and I was like, oh no, what's going to happen? This pod, me and Walsh anything could happen. I could end up with any team after this pod. Yeah. I was just thinking like with Kane, I was like, would I do this on my brother's team? And like the answer is just obviously no.
Yeah, it's not even something you would think about.
I would just be like, no, Haaland in and don't think about it. And he's just great. Yeah. And I mean, like, yeah, you know, we said all we needed to say about the Community Shield performance last pod, but it's just like he gets over an XG, he gets multiple shots, he creates chances. Like,
Yeah, against the best defense in the league.
And that's what we thought he would be. Was exactly what we thought he'd be. Like, what are we talking about? He's just an unbelievable pick. So I'm with you. Fuck it. That's all I need to hear.
But speaking of this, speaking of your brother's team, of what you would immediately say no to, I've been like really, really hard on thinking of like, what am I doing with Jesus in my team?
Because of those first two fixtures?
That's a big part, yes. Yeah. But also because I am trying to go back to like a few weeks ago, and I know you were bigger on Jesus than I was initially, where I was like, why is he better than Saka? Like, Saka's just better. And then he scored 50 goals in the preseason. But I'm still looking at the player and just like, 8 million's a lot. And like, yeah, there's Vardy there. I mean, you can easily have Kane there too. Like, you can have Kane Holland. You know, yes, you're going to sacrifice a couple of things elsewhere, but you know that, like, I'm just like, he's in 70% of teams got that, you know, a lot of people have him, but I don't know. Like, I'm still just like looking at it, like something doesn't feel right there to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm looking to be contrarian, like doing my thing that I do.
You are. It's fucking dumb. I mean, I think the case was makeable three weeks ago or whatever the fuck.
Before the game, the preseason, and watching him do the things.
All of the stuff that we were kind of unsure of were kind of like solved and told to us with big, screaming words in preseason, with where is he going to play? What's his role going to be? Is he going to get shots? Is he going to be in the box? Is he going to be the center of everything? Is he going to start every game? Like, whatever it is, all of the answers are yes.
Yeah.
And that's why he's a better pick than Saka, and that's why he's just like in every team. And,
Okay.
Yeah, so I do think it's dumb. I mean, the first two fixtures, it's sort of similar to the like Kane Holland thing, in my opinion. It's like
you want him game week 3.
Yeah, you could definitely make a team where you have, I don't know who, Bamford for 2 weeks and then go to Jesus. And I'm like, yeah, the fixtures are better, but like Jesus is still a really, really good pick that you're gonna want for sure for 3, 4, 5. And beyond, like, no question. Those
they're good for a while.
And like, we're gonna be putting out other fires on our team. We're gonna be jumping on other bandwagons in our team. We're gonna get red cards. We're gonna get this injuries. That's just like not a spot where I want to be messing around. It's a very similar thing to the Kane Holland, I think.
Okay, I'm happy you said that. All right, I'm gonna chill on that. I'll chill on Jesus.
Wow,
we'll keep him. We'll hold.
Dude,
Jesus.
We're doing so good.
I feel better.
I feel good. I feel like we're in like couples therapy right now, and we're therapizing.
So what about Neto? Are we still good on Neto?
I think so.
Because this is the thing I'm looking at. Like, if I do the Ederson, pull the cord on Ederson.
Yeah.
The spot that is screaming out to me is Martinelli.
Yeah.
Because I just the opening 2 N plus just I could get someone who's just a more like a mount or something, but I still need to put 0.5 there. Like, and that could be Neto to Bailey. Bailly.
Yeah. Bye. I can't do it, dude. It's so hard. Yeah, I think I'm still there on Neto. I mean, it's a similar case for Bailey, except his fixtures just continue to be amazing.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot. I don't think it's a similar case because
he's also the best player, and
he's their best player. He's their best player, and he's gonna be out of position no matter what. So whatever he does, game week 1 or 2, he's gonna be playing game week 3, 4, 5, 6, and after the Spurs in game week 3, they have Newcastle, Bournemouth, Southampton. So
that's the thing.
You have a lot more runway on him, I think.
I think he's just, like we said originally, just very obvious and very good.
Yeah.
Like, all of the things that we're worried about with Bailey for 0.5 cheaper, we're not worried about any of those things with Neto.
Yeah.
Is the team going to be bad? Are they going to struggle to score 1 goal? Like, that could happen. He's still a 5-5 player. The Wolves are still a little bit unknown with like Podence, false 9, whatever. But the fixtures are just so ridiculously good. And they're, especially like for him, I feel like they're so ridiculously good for like counter-attacking, wide man who cuts in against Leeds and Fulham, like probably the 2 most open teams in the league.
Yeah.
Just like, he's going to have so much space. He's going to do whatever he wants those games.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So what else do you have on your team? What else is going on?
Yeah. I mean, just what do you think about Cucurella if he goes to Chelsea? I mean, it seems like it's going to be resolved probably soon. I would assume.
I mean, I think that just makes like Reese and the other assets like a lot better.
Me too.
Same with like Chilwell, right? I mean, maybe he needs a little bit of time to get up to speed, but I don't imagine Cucurella is going to play too much left wing back. Like, I feel like maybe he'll get a couple games there when they want to rest Chilwell, but I think he's just going to be the left-sided center back, right?
Me too. Yeah, I think it's going to be
and they'll
left
just
to
take
right.
Koulibaly out of there. They'll put him over on the right.
Exactly. I think it's just that's their first team back three. It'll be Cucurella, Silva, and Koulibaly, and I think it's just so good. Exactly what you think. I think it means more wing back minutes for Reese, better defense, better clean sheet perspective. So like it's just great.
So what is actually up with Chilwell?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could be misremembering, so, take this with a grain of salt or whatever, but I was kind of saying in Discord, like, it's actually a sensitive subject because I think that he had, like, a lot of mental health problems. Like, remember there was that time when, like, he just wasn't playing, but he wasn't hurt?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I think that's what it was. So I'm just kind of like staying away from it because I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on, and I hope he's all right. Seems like a good guy. I like owning him in fantasy. Like, but I don't know what the fuck. Like, it just Alonso's playing the minutes. He's and maybe he's just slow to recover from injury. Maybe everything I'm saying is totally off, but it just doesn't seem like an option at the moment.
Yeah.
He's played,
but he's training, right? I mean,
he played against Charlotte FC. He played 48 minutes. He played against Club America 46 minutes. And then and then Alonso, starts with the ones, and we're like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah,
at wing back too.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were in a back four.
Yeah.
So
I mean, do you think that Cucurella? I mean, if he, this is also, I mean, he's not even there yet. But if he does come in, do you think he's gonna not play wing back much?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I mean, I think he's more effective as like the tweener guy.
Yeah,
but
So if they do have him theoretically like left side center back with the pace, what would that mean for the attack from the wing backs? Because he's gonna have like more recovery pace. Like, does that mean that the left wing back's gonna have more license to push forward than the right?
It could. Yeah, it could. I could see that.
And like Reese might be a little bit more back, and Chilwell might be a little more.
Yeah, I could see that. But I think that ultimately it means that they'll be comfortable on both sides because Koulibaly's old and maybe declining, but he's still good. And
he's still good.
They don't. They just don't mind those matchups. I mean, that's just like such a good back three all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, we're just speculating, but
okay.
Is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea are definitely interesting too. I think I mean, we talked about Mount a lot. I mean, their fixtures are still like really good. Like Everton, Spurs, Leeds, Leicester, Southampton, West Ham, Fulham. I mean,
attacking especially.
Especially attacking. So I don't know. I mean, you mentioned Sterling before, and I know we talked about Mount. I mean, what do you see there? Like, do you want to have one of them? Like, definitely. Or is it something where you're like, or is that's a luxury to have one?
No,
of them?
I think Mount feels very good and comfy in my team. I'm not going to lie. I just feel like he printed points all of last season, and I don't think it was a fluke. I think that's just like who he is. And he's playing in a better attack this season with really good fixtures. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, that's just a great pick. And then on the note of Raz, I mean, I just think he's an even better pick. Like it's a tough thing. Like what I was saying at the beginning, when you start taking into account value, like is it worth $2 million? Like how does that affect the rest of your team, et cetera, et cetera. But like in my eyes, and I wonder what you think about this, like Raz is still an elite attacker. Like I completely expect him to just score 20 goals this season and have hat-trick potential. Like he's gonna explode some weeks. I think. I think it's just it's a perfect fit. Maybe the contract they gave him was a little bit too long. I think that's a very reasonable argument, but like, I don't give a shit for this season. Like, we don't care about that. It's not a franchise mode in FPL, and then, they're still, it's like they had such a weird season last year where it seemed like they were going to be in the mix for the title and then they faded away, but like they were still by far the third best team. They still scored by far the third most goals and put up, the third most XG, and all that stuff. Like they're still really good. I feel like we just think they're a little bit worse than they are because the fall from grace a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we did though throughout the season last year talk about how many like games conceivably lucky, like winning 1-run games in baseball all the time, like that where they weren't creating a lot of chances and they were still just winning those tight games. I am still concerned about their ability to create chances. And, you know, Raz is a chance receiver, not a chance creator, more or less. Like, you know, sure, he'll run down the line and, you know, cut back. I mean, but that's not fair. He can do that. But in this role, he's going to be more, you know, more 9-ish, like more wanting to be in the middle of the box. It's hard for me to imagine him coming over to Chelsea from City where, you know, he wasn't in that position and he wasn't tasked with that role. He never also like played 3,000 minutes. Like if he's just going to be like starting all the games, which he's always been fit, you know, Pep just doesn't pick him. You know, if he does play like 3,000 minutes or thereabouts, you know, that also unlocks something there for him. But, you know, is he going to hit 200 points? Yeah, I mean, I do kind of expect that. Like they're trying to get rid of Timo really hard. And, you know, Kai, who knows if he gets hurt. I mean, sure, they have a lot of options, but clearly Raz was not brought in to just be like a rotational option. Like he was brought in, like Tuchel wanted him. And he doesn't have a lot of tread on his tires, even though he's been around forever, because the last few years, he's kind of just been chilling. Like he's been fit and he's been playing, but he's also like just been on the bench so much. Yeah. So he hasn't been overworked. Like, you know, you could maybe say like a Mo has or someone like that, right? Or like a Kane has. At 10 million, though, it still comes down to me when you're looking at him in the team and what you have to sacrifice to get him in alongside. I mean, he's like the third premium in air quotes. Like, you're having Mo, and then if you're going to have Haaland or Kane, right? You have to, then all of a sudden you are looking at like, okay, well, I'm thinning out a lot here to get this player in. So he needs to really like fuck for this to work out. Yeah. You know, and that is something that concerns me. Like, I think of him more as like, well, when my team value is, you know, 103 and I know these two enablers are nails and I can just set them and don't have to worry about it, then I can, you know, shoehorn him in.
Yeah, I think that's very reasonable. Like, obviously there's risk. I just see it more as, I just feel like my view on Chelsea is just a little more positive than yours. I just think that like, I think the chance creation is there already. Like I think they're creating, you know, the third most chances, the third most XG, the third most, you know, big chances, whatever.
For their wingbacks.
All that stuff. Yeah, but like also, you know, Timo's missing a lot of chances. You know, Kai's missing a lot of chances. Like randos are missing a ton of chances. They still have like, in terms of like creativity, Mount and Kai alongside Raz is still really good. You know, Jorginho's still an elite passer. The wingbacks are still good crossers. I'm like, there's enough there, and they look to be fluid and pretty good in preseason. There's enough there, I think, creatively to fucking like...
it's creatively
to get chances for Raz. And I think that, you know, like he's just so good at... It's also like... You said he's good at, well, yeah, I mean, he gets a lot though, you know, and it's one of those weird things where it's like, yeah, he's a better receiver than creator, but by being a better receiver, he makes the people around him better creators, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah,
like
no, because there's a movement.
His movement's amazing. His like finding space is amazing. So, you know, I think that all plays a role too. So, yeah, I'm very high on the Raz pick. I don't know if I'll go there. I'm close.
I just can't see how you make it work. Like if you have Mo, Haaland, Jesus, Raz in your team, all of a sudden you have risks.
I mean, I'm so elsewhere. Close though. If you just think of my team, I'm Doc to Nico, Bailey to 4.5, and then I need 0.5 somewhere.
Yeah,
and that's like barely even worsening my 11.
And then, but you have 2 Liverpool players.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No, I'm not saying it's a perfect team or anything, but I'm just saying like, it is there. Like it's not that hard to get there. I think it's very doable. It's just like it's like sort of just pick your poison on like who do you sacrifice from like the other guys that we think are good picks. Yeah. But what do you think of Mount though? Do you think Mount's a good pick?
Yeah, I still like Mount pick. Yeah. I mean, if I did do the 8 million goalkeepers, I think trying to figure out where I can find that 0.5 to do Martinelli to Mount would be like the biggest thing I would be focused on.
Yeah.
And looking at my team right now, I just have absolutely no idea where that comes from.
Right. But that's another place where I could get him, get another mil if I wanted Raz or something like that,
Yeah. I mean, I guess I also do want to, like, with James, right? I mean, what if James is the sacrificial lamb? Like, is that good? Like, is that a good thing to do? Or do you think that James is still a better pick than, relatively speaking, with the price and everything?
Yeah, I still think he's just an incredible pick.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it. I'm just trying really hard to, like, put blinders on with him. And everyone that I trust is like, he's an incredible pick. And everyone I've talked to is like, yeah, he's automatic in my team. Like, who gives a shit if he plays center back one game against Spurs? Like, he's still just a god.
We both keep trying to talk each other out of him, I think, and have been, but it's like, we still both have him.
Yeah, and I think we should just keep him. Like, I think it's just one of those where we know we're biased against him. And everything in the world is telling us he's a really good pick, so just get a good pick, right? Like, what would I do in my brother's team? He's one of the first names in the team. Not even a question.
I mean, the more we're talking, it's like the more I'm thinking of, like, maybe I just don't do the 8 million thing and I just keep this, or I just do the 8 million thing and I just put a bunch of money in the bank. I don't know. Like, I mean, it's...
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about Martinelli?
Wait, so what's the rest of your team, though? Because I don't think I know your team.
So right now, without the 4 million in goalkeeper, I have Ederson and I have James, Robbo, Trent, Cancelo, Perisic, 5-3-2, Martinelli, Mo, Neto, and then Jesus, Haaland up top.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how we're both in 5-3-2s.
Yeah.
Because, like, at the beginning when the game came out, I was like, no, big at the back never works, blah, 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 blah. But now, we're wild carding after 6-7 game weeks. Like, I just want the points now. I don't give a shit if it never works later.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we have very similar teams, which I like.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of differences.
Yeah, where even are the differences?
Well, I have Martinelli, I have the extra 0.5 in Ederson, and then I have Robbo.
And I have Doc instead of Robbo, so that's 2 mil, and that's why I have Mount instead of Martinelli. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good sign to me. We're both like very close. We both like most of the same players. I think we're basically on the same page with a lot of the things. I'm kind of with you on the Martinelli. I mean, there was that guy in Discord, I forgot his name, who did the fucking 200 words on, the diversification of the team, but, it's very confusing and mathy, so I couldn't really follow it. But just thinking more about, like, the double Arsenal or triple Arsenal in some people's case, and the diversification, I think, like, the way that I'm thinking about it more simply than, mathing it out like he did is just, you're just trying to limit risk. And you're just trying to spread your risk so that if one catastrophic thing happens, it doesn't fuck more than one player on your team, right? And I'm not even talking about the player specifically. I'm talking about if Xhaka gets a red card, you have 3 assets fucked for that game. They're probably going to get nothing. They're kind of
like
fucked.
Every 5 games.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean, though, right? Like, if so-and-so, the bad thing happens, you can limit that risk by being like, well, I'll get Mount instead of Saka in my triple up, or whatever the case is, a different 6-0 than Martinelli or whatever. I just think that's worth it. I think that a lot of what we're trying to do in game week 1 regarding the ownership is similar and just trying to spread the risk. So I still am with you that, like, Martinelli sticks out to me in teams.
So where do I go? What do I do with that?
Love the player, hate the fixtures, it's a hard one.
Where do I go with that? That's my problem, is like, if I do
Leon Bailly.
I mean, I can go up to 7.5 on that spot.
Oh,
like,
if you do the keeper move?
Yeah, like, what do I do that I'm like, oh yeah, I feel great about this?
Yeah.
Because that's all, I haven't figured that out at all. I'm just like so far away from that.
Yeah, I mean, the 7.5 to 6 is just such a fucking minefield. I mean, I wouldn't go Rashford. I think he's still in a lot of teams. I don't see it with the fixtures. I mean, you could risk it on Jack. You could go for, instead of Bailey, I mean, you could just go Phil and be like, I'm just going for Phil for 2 fixtures and then I'm transferring him out. Phil at Bournemouth, home Everton, like bam. And he's $7 million. He's flexible, unlike Bailey. So, something like that is doable, or you go,
Barnes,
for
Bamford.
Yeah, Barnes, Bamford. I love. Wait, how could you get Bamford? No, you can't, right?
Yeah, I would just have to change I would just be 5-2-3.
I mean, I love Bamford. Game week 1, like home Wolves, at Southampton, home Chelsea, at Brighton, home Everton, at Brentford, home NFO. I mean, that was one of the things I wrote in my like precog notes. So we're talking fucking 3 months ago now. But
yeah,
what I wrote is just every time he's been fit in this era of Bamford, he's just been incredible and just gotten so many points. He's fit. He's on points. I think I'm actually kind of high on Leeds. I'm going to look at some gambling odds there, but I'm just I feel kind of good about them. I don't know if that's just like me being stupid, but for now with the fitness, with the guys around him, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I love the pick.
Martial.
Tony should start. I mean, how do you feel about Martinelli?
I feel like there's a reason why I've been resisting him more than just like
Yes.
He's popular and like I used to like it. Like I don't know what that is exactly.
Yeah.
But it's just like in my instincts is just like I've been like kind of forcing myself to put him in because he kind of objectively ticks boxes that like look nice to be ticked, but I just don't know if the points are going to be there for him.
Yeah. In 2 really bad fixtures.
Yeah, in 2 really bad fixtures. Sure, they get better, but like that's really it. Like that's really I don't have a good reason. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean
don't
the
have
thing
a good reason.
the thing with and then they get better is really important though, right? Because it's like how much are you gonna lose by not having him game week 1? Like realistically, at Palace, home Leicester, like is he gonna blow the doors down?
Like I could imagine like an assist in those 2 games combined.
So we're not risking that much. And meanwhile, if he starts both games and Arsenal are playing well, we just get him game week 3, and it's no big deal. It's like no points lost in a weird way, So I just prefer going for like a huge upside there in that bracket. For the first 2 game weeks or something like that, than Mart. I'm just not that high. In a way, like that I am high on Jesus, where I'm like, if Arsenal score any goals, I expect Jesus to be involved. I just don't feel that way about Martinelli at all.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think about Barnes? Because it does seem like he's kind of settling on that, right?
Yeah, I mean
Barnes playing with like Matto, Barnes, Vardy, sort of like that's the
back. Front 3. Yeah. I mean he's. I haven't like watched Leicester, but there's a couple of people on Twitter who are huge Leicester fans and tweet at me whenever shit's happening. And apparently he's looked really, really good, just like laser sharp, and they're fit until they're not, and the attack's clicking, and they're doing well, and they're winning their games, and he's scoring goals and shit, and he's playing really well. So, and me and you both really rate him highly, So
yeah, because I mean that could be an interesting because it's always nice to have players you like, and I've always liked Barnes. I mean, I could do Barnes and just hang 0.5.
Yeah, I mean that's not bad
in that spot, and just see what look at that as like this is my spot that like could be the cash cow or it could be whatever.
Yeah,
but if I am going to be rolling on those first 2 fixtures kind of thing, I mean it is like Bamford's hard to ignore. Grant, I mean, do you think he's gonna? Well, even fucking Callum too, I guess is reasonable in this spot,
home
right?
Forest at Brighton. I just feel like Leeds are just going to be more open and attacking.
Yeah.
And just more
Is Bamford
aggressive.
like ready to play 180 in those first 2 games?
As far as I know.
Yeah.
He's it's a week off. It's not like strenuous. I mean, it's like a normal schedule. He's playing, he's playing starting preseason games. Looking good, I wouldn't be worried about that at all. I mean, I feel like, once he's fit, he's good to go. And like,
well, what about Tony?
They're not protecting him or anything. And he played, I'm just looking now. I think Bamford played maybe.
He played the last
I think
one.
he played maybe the entire game. Might have played 90 against Cagliari. Just looking like really quickly at that. So I wouldn't be worried there. Yeah, Tony, I mean, that's another one that I was talking to LR about, and he's just like, obviously he's a homer, he's a Man United fan, but he's just all over Tony. He's just obsessed with that pick. He just thinks and I checked, Bamford did play all of the minutes against Cagliari, so 2 goals and an assist, just good to go. He's just saying that Tony's just never looked this good. He's never looked this sharp in a Man United kit, and he's just, Ronaldo's not ready to go. Ronaldo played with the backups and, is a piece of shit baby boy. So I don't know. He's got the finishing quality. He's got the, 1v1. He's got a pedigree of being a good FPL pick at times, so if they're clicking. But, no Sancho makes it a lot worse, I think.
Is he riddled?
Yeah, he's like ill or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's COVID or whatnot. But
yeah, I mean, not having that fluidity and that creative hub over on that side is pretty big because Rashford just runs in straight lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
And then it turns into like the wings are what? Rashford Alonga or something like that.
Yeah,
it's like
all of a sudden they're just bad.
Yeah, it's just.
But there is still Bruno there for you.
Yeah, Bruno's still feeding, but
Bruno's still
it's
there.
just like less good attack with again pretty bad fixtures. Home Brighton at Brenham is way worse than like
and
home
then
Wolves at Southampton for Bamford. Yeah.
Because, I mean, that could be another one where it's like, yeah, Ron now, but like, okay, well, we're getting towards the end of August and they had tough fixtures and it's like, and then Ron's back and then everything's worse.
Yeah.
I mean, this could be another problem waiting to happen. I could imagine that too.
Yeah.
Ericsson too. I mean, we don't know how that's going to fit in. They have a lot of new guys.
I don't know what they're doing. But I mean, that's most of the notes that I had is where are we hugely against the market, which it seems like there's not that many spots that we're like really not considering or not picking that everyone else is on.
Yeah, I think the main thing, I mean, if you do end up not going with Kane, is like we are going to be so scared for that game.
So scared.
Because people still own Son.
Until Doc Perry are both starting, and I'm just fucking
15-15
flying.
Yeah.
And then another thing I was thinking is, would I do this for my brother's team? So we talked about that a lot, and I think we flattened some bumps in the road there, and then I mean, I think I'm feeling pretty good. I didn't know what I was going to be feeling after this.
Yeah, I'm feeling good too. I feel more like confident in the choices because I was like yesterday. And then mainly more like this morning when I was like, oh my God, Allen Iverson's $4 million. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I felt like that was like a big problem in my life, like an existential crisis.
People don't know that you had an Iverson poster in your fucking bedroom as a child.
I mean, my first AIM AOL Instant Messenger name, Iverson824.
Like, no, the people don't know.
The amount of Allen Iverson rookie cards that I still own are... so many. I still have them, dude. I have so many.
Good.
I would trade all my cards for any Allen Iverson. all I wanted were Allen Iverson rookie cards.
That is so sick. I love that.
But like, I feel more confident in like where we were a couple weeks ago is kind of where we still are, and I think that's like a good sign that continuity is like we haven't let cheeky bandwagony things kind of infiltrate our initial thoughts, which are like more unfiltered from that noise.
Yeah, I mean, I think the questions that I have in my current team right now that are unanswered are like, Doc, am I going to do that? Like Bailey, am I going there? Is it too inflexible? Is it too punty? Whatever. And as of now, I have in Ramsdale. What am I doing with my third Liverpool player? Because I do think that I should have a third Liverpool player.
And that is very easily cured by just putting Alisson in there.
Yeah, right. I can just go Bailey to 4-5, Ramsdale to Alisson. My team's done.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll have like my bench will be Pereira, 4-5 mid, Archer.
It's fine.
Yeah.
De Silva's a fine pick, I think.
This season also, like, it's even in games Doc doesn't start, he's probably going to play 20 minutes. So, like,
yeah. How many? I mean, it's going to you want to dodge the COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, you look like you're getting close.
I'm close. Yeah. What do you think are the main questions in your current tinker?
I mean, it's those. I think it's really those spots, the Ederson, Martinelli.
Yeah.
And then, like, do I go for a mid there? Do I, and go for the forward there and change formation to 5-2-3?
Right.
I think I need to look at those 3 spots more and figure out which do I feel best about. But
right.
Yeah, I don't think like ripping it up and getting a third premium is going to happen. I'm going to stick with Jesus. So
yeah,
I think it's kind of limited to that, honestly.
Yeah. Wow, we're fucking close, dude.
Yeah, we're close.
So
we need to be close because the game's soon.
2 sleeps away.
2 sleeps away.
Holy shit. All right, bro. I think that's about a wrap.
Yeah, that's it.
And so, as tradition for those who don't listen to Friday My Life episodes, I usually say, check us out. You already check us out. Good job by you. Bye.